prayers for your help and your generosity even before camp. Without you helping and parents sending and church funding these teens to go, it wouldn't have been possible. So I thank you so much for your generosity and even for your prayers during camp. Much was done in the way of building friendships and having a good time, but much was done also even to see that God was able to stir hearts, and decisions were made there at camp by teens, and it was because of your prayers, because of your dedication even to, as a church, have camp and have this time for the teens to get up there and just be a part and do something great, even spiritual. So I thank you so much for all that you are to the church and what you are to the teens and myself. Thank you so much. This time, each of us, we're going to give something, share something very briefly that we really like the camp, and then two at the very end are going to just give a testimony of what happened at camp in their lives and what God even was able to speak to them about at camp. So let's start. So briefly, we'll start over here.
The best thing that happened to me at camp was the preaching, because whenever Pastor Owens preached, God always spoke to my heart.
Amen.
My favorite thing was probably also the preaching, because it was very moving and it was also fast-paced. Nobody fell asleep.
Probably for me, the most memorable thing that I had at camp was the togetherness of our churches coming together and having the fellowship of being like-minded, enjoying the controversy of everything.
My favorite thing at camp was the godly fellowship, being able to encourage and challenge one another, even from other churches.
My favorite thing at camp was being around godly people at camp and just being away from all our tracks from this world.
I enjoyed everything at camp, but the messages really were good. That's so great. I enjoyed all of it, but I like the games because they were this. His plans for me. Because if I try to find happiness in the world, it's not going to last. Everyone was speaking about how true joy was found in the Lord. So I'm giving all of that to the Lord so I can climb that mountain, because I know that what's behind that mountain is far more better than what I had for myself.
I just want to challenge you as a church, and I want to do it myself. I just want to think about this. How many of you have ever trained for something, maybe a race or something that was challenging? If you haven't, it takes a lot to do. It takes a lot to get ready for something that you know is ahead of you. And even this past week, there were a lot of decisions made, a lot of things that were necessary, even in spiritual lives. There's times of getting away and just being able to hear the Holy Spirit and do business with God. And that's where they were this past week. But the hard part is yet to come. And so they were training, they were getting ready. But this next week and even the time ahead is something that they will be challenged with, even to stick with decisions that they were challenged to make. There were times when even there at camp, they were challenged to overcome bitterness by God's power, to even challenged to read God's word and be the soul winners that we should be. And so the test has probably already even come with the 2 days we've been back, but the test is even upon them. So I want to challenge you as a church to pray for them, and pray that as some of them go to people who they feel like they need to mend relationships with, that they will stick with it, and they will be courageous to do what God has called them to do. Some of them, they've been challenged to read God's word. Some of them have taken upon themselves to read God's word through and through months. And so the challenge is upon them, and the test now, the race now is upon them. And so being faithful and doing what they've committed to God to do is going to take, it's going to take some stick-to-itiveness. It's going to take, it's going to be challenging for them. I just want you to, as a church, to remember to pray. I know some of you are faithful to pray, even as you miss them on Thursday and miss them being around your house through the week. But would you continue to pray for them, even maybe more than you did even this past week, that they would do what God has called them to do, even in the days and months and years ahead. Can we pray for them just right now, even as a church? Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for giving us just the opportunity, Lord, to have youth in our church and to have even this ministry, Lord. And thank you so much for camp and what it meant to even these who stand behind me, even the ones who are not here, the two who are not here this morning. But Lord, I pray you help them as they have committed to you and been challenged, Lord, even to draw closer to you. Help them as they live their lives for you in this next week and then in the next years. I pray that you would help them to be committed to you, Lord, to not give in, to stand, Lord, when even sometimes others around them won't stand. I pray, Lord, you would help them and gird them up with your strength. Help them as they've committed some of these things, Lord, to you, even as we heard this morning.